apologies, we've just posted on the community side of the channel that we're not doing coffee moaning, and we're not doing coffee moaning today because it's Bank Holiday Monday here in the UK. But we felt I felt I just had to kind of go live, not go live, I felt I had to record this just briefly. For any of, we've got so many people who come to YouTube, so many people who come to the channel are movie fans, you know, have a vested interest in the film industry, work in the film industry, we make films, you know, we are all film aficionados, passionate about film. You know, and obviously we cover the Donald Trump story, we're covering Trump's America, you know, we would have done this, we would have done this story for sure if we were doing Trump's America or Coffee Moaning today. And this is the story, or this is the news that Donald Trump, well, let me read you his quote on Truth Social. This is something he posted on Truth Social. He says, the movie industry in America is dying, a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives, tax breaks and what have you, to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the United States. Hollywood and many other areas within the US are being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. It is, in addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. Therefore, I am authorizing the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. We want movies made in America again. You know, is this just yet another ridiculous ranting kind of Truth Social post from a man who, like Nadia said earlier this morning, is more and more coming across as a very unstable elderly man who just says any old shit that kind of comes into his head or believes any old meme that's plonked in front of him at his desk. But naturally, as the story's kind of sat, and as the industry on a sort of, in this country it's a bank holiday, but you know, around the world, as the industry kind of tries to come to terms with or rationalize what on earth would this mean, the potential implications of this are massive. Let's just pause for a moment and remember, Donald Trump, didn't he give Mel Gibson, Sly Stallone and John Voight the mission to make Hollywood great again? Now, if those are three men responsible for the creative futures and the content of cinema for years to come, oh my God, well, let's just all forget filmmaking, film watching. Let's just forget film. What is it going to be? Some weird jingoistic sort of westernized kind of nationalistic nonsense. God forbid. My worry here is that Donald Trump, who is chaotic, the idea that Donald Trump wades into culture is just beyond petrifying. I mean, if you were to ask Donald Trump what his top 5 films are, I would dread to think they would probably be the films that he's appeared in. So it'd probably be Home Alone. Was it Home Alone 2? Or was he also in The Naked Gun or something? Anyway. So what could this mean? What does this, or what could this mean? The details, we have no more details other than what he said in his Truth Social post. So one of the things it could be is that, you know, yes, lots of American films, or, you know, made by the big studios, Paramount, Universal, Warner Brothers, all of them, they get made in countries like here, the UK, they get made in New Zealand, they get made in Australia. Just like we, the British film industry, also makes a lot of stuff in Eastern Bloc countries, Balkan countries, because it's cheaper, labour is cheaper, services are cheaper. But also the reason America kind of, you know, subcontracts, if you like, to places like Elstree and Pinewood and all the kind of studios here, is that we offer huge tax breaks. Now, is he talking about films, any film production, whether it be for an American film or for a foreign film that then goes to America, that's produced? If he's talking about a production outside of America, this will have an enormously damaging impact on the movie business in Hollywood. Let's not beat around the bush. The movie industry hasn't really fully recovered from COVID still. I think the box office takings for the last 12 months is still something like 26% down or 30% down on previous years. Production in Hollywood, by and large, across the industry is down by 30 to 40%. There's huge numbers of people in the American film industry who are having to pivot and move out of the industry, and lots of people are sort of basically losing their jobs. Universal has just literally, just this last week, got rid of countless senior executives. So you've got that. Any reduction in staffing or production in America has a direct impact on places like Elstree and studios here, because of course then the footfall and the move through our studios has gone down. So you've got less production coming out of America, or being made, less stuff being made, and therefore more of a kind of impetus, if you like, for the American studios to send this stuff out to cheaper places to make it, because less of it's being made. You need a bigger return on what you're making. If he's going to slap 100% tariff on productions, so a Warner Brothers film that's been, say, a Harry Potter series that's shot at Elstree, then that's going to become an enormous extra cost for Warner Brothers just to take it out and bring it back. Of course, that might be what he's trying to do. Make it here, like he's saying to every other industry in America, make it here. Now, that's well and good for an isolationist, insular-looking kind of policy, but that can't happen overnight. That can't happen quickly. And productions take years to kind of mobilize and get off the ground and what have you. So just as a small example, let's take the Harry Potter series coming to HBO. You know, if they're kind of about to press the button on that, and 100%, their costs to shoot it in the UK are going to go up by 100% tariff is going to be plonked on what they subcontract out. It's incredibly undetailed. Are they going to put 100% tariff on the paper cost of what it cost to produce it in the UK on top? And in which case, obviously, it makes it illogical for the studios to subcontract. That's what that could be one thing that he's trying to do. The other potential problem here, though, is because he mentions the term national security threat and propaganda. Now, let's just take, say, the Palestinian documentary No Other Land that won the documentary or Best Documentary Oscar. That struggled. I think it's still struggled and hasn't managed to secure a distributor in the US to release the film. Does he also mean, by using and invoking the term propaganda and wanting to make America great again and wanting, you know, Hollywood to be great again, is he actually saying that he's going to slap 100% tariff on films that can, any kind of foreign film that's made, so say even Paddington, although that's quite American, you know, no film is just one country, but let's say a very British film. For the British filmmakers to access the American market, are they going to have to pay an extra 100% on top of that? In which case, if so, the finances in movies is so tight already, it will destroy any potential profit margin for most films, unless they're a guaranteed blockbuster. And let's face it, Hollywood historically cannot prove or predict absolute blockbusters. Just look at what's happened to all the superhero films. So this could, so in a weird way, an 100% tariff could possibly, and again, the details are slim. This is what the whole industry is like, literally like headless chickens running around going, what the fuck does this mean? What does this actually mean? Because on the one hand, we know he can't stand Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, can't stand him. Huge conflicts and sort of fights over the fires and everything, politically on the opposite sort of side of the spectrum to each other. Is this an attack on the Hollywood elite? Does he know that this will make all the studios squeeze the studios editorially to such a breaking point that it will force them all to have to pivot back towards cast iron certain, within the terms of however cast iron or certain any Hollywood hit is, cast iron certain greenlit projects, i.e. there will be no, my point is, there will be no risk taking. This will have a direct potential trickle-down effect. So let's just sit with American production for now. This could then have a trickle-down effect on all independent filmmaking too. The way the economic model of the film industry works is all those big, what they call tentpole major Hollywood hitters and all that kind of stuff. There's a trickle down, and the trickle down economy is that the money that's made by the big films generate allows for more niche, more experimental, more sort of adventurous filmmaking to happen. So a studio like Warner Brothers, if they make a huge amount of money over there on one big sort of say superhero film, it means they can throw a little bit of that money, not literally, but more or less this is the idea, at a load of kind of low cost, say horror films. And if one of those low cost horror films comes in as a hit, then they make a massive amount of money relative to what they've spent. That risk-taking will be removed. This is almost it feels like this is an attempt to punish Hollywood, punish filmmakers, punish the Hollywood community, and force them into a position where they can't be more adventurous with their filmmaking, which I think his hope is it will nudge it more towards Americana, or what will definitely work for an American audience. The other problem with this is if he's talking about 100% tariff on top of films simply coming into the country to be broadcast, distributed, or exhibited, he's in a sense potentially saying he wants to control the content in film form and streaming, because there's that kind of, it's a huge crossover now, streaming and filmmaking. He wants to control the content that Americans get to see, because he'll price out of the market anything that's potentially critical, challenging, thought-provoking, not the mainstream. He will make it impossible for films that are more adventurous and agitative to not only be made, but to gain an audience in the States. He'll close off America to indie films being made in the rest of the world because they won't be able to afford to get them into America. But missing out on that market will have also the impact on possibly making most of those films that would have been made unmakeable. When you leverage finance a film, you are looking for producers from all over the place. So an indie film made in France will have producers in Ireland and in the UK, and they'll get some money from India, and they might get some money from Canada. But the deal is we can leverage all this money as long as we know we can get a release in America. And if you don't have the release in America because you've been priced out, it could destroy that too. Again, there's no details on what does this mean for streamers? Is this the same will it be the same for series? So like the HBO Harry Potter series, are they saying the same thing? Is it going to be the same set of rules? What does he mean? All we do know is 100% tariffs on foreign film production that happens outside of America. 100%. Here we go. Let's have a look at it. Let's look at his exact words. I am authorizing the department to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. So that could just be foreign films, or it could be American films that are shot in foreign countries. And either one of those things could be total devastation to the movie industry. This is catastrophic. It's both a culture war move, as in it's an attempt to control what's being made economically, and it's also an industry destroying move, much in the same way that, many felt his tariffs on cars would be. And even Elon Musk started to get a bit sweaty about it, kind of going, hang on a minute, can we make an exception for cars? The problem with this is Trump has been at war and at loggerheads with Hollywood since God can remember. And so consequently, I don't think this is going to end well. And I'm curious, it's going to be interesting in the next week to see who is brave enough to poke their head above the parapets and push back on this, because any pushback with Trump can sometimes make him double down even harder. So at the moment, low on detail, but the potential implications are spinning out of control. And in an industry that already in the UK, all of our kind of movie hubs and studios, etc., they're struggling, they're feeling the reduction in production coming from the States. If you lessen that even more, again, the trickle down into our media industry is going to be absolutely seismic too. So subsequent to that, we've just found some footage of Donald Trump actually talking on the subject, coming off Air Force One somewhere. So let's see if he can put a bit more meat on the bones. Let's see if we can elicit some other kind of intel from his mouth rather than from whoever writes his Truth Social posts. Here we go.
The movie tariffs, what they've done is other nations have been stealing the movie-making capabilities from the United States. And I said to a couple of people, what do you think? I've done some very strong research over the last week.
Have you?
And we're making very few movies now. Hollywood is being destroyed. Now, you have an grossly incompetent governor that allowed that to happen. So I'm not just blaming other nations, but other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry. And I'm saying, if they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, then we should have a tariff on movies that come in. And not only that, governments are actually giving big money. I mean, they're supporting them financially. So that's sort of a threat to our country in a sense. And it's been a very popular thing. I can tell you one thing, movie makers love it.
Movie makers love it. Maybe movie makers like Sly Stallone, John Voight, and Mel Gibson, but are they the movie makers that we want to love it? Is he talking about it? To me, just from what he's saying, other countries are stealing our movie making. This is very much a reciprocal tariff, basically, against the huge tax breaks that our government and Australia and New Zealand and various other European countries offer American productions. But what he doesn't get is is that the industry is literally on a knife edge in terms of profit margins, in terms of numbers of people who are going to the cinema, even streamers. You know, there was a surge straight after COVID, and even the streamers are feeling the squeeze. So, the immediate trickle down on this is going to be it's going to cause Armageddon if he is as inflexible on this as he has been on everything else, and if he insists on this being bluntly applied, like from tomorrow at 6. Are we going to see productions that are currently in production halt, or is there's going to have to be exceptions given to current productions? But the movie maker, I'd like to know which movie makers, who is he referring to when he says movie makers like this?